I sense in my heart tonight, what I heard the Lord say is that there's some kids here that say they're Christians, they go to church all the time, but you're one thing when you're in church and you're another thing when you're at school with your friends. You're a phony and a hypocrite. You do things you shouldn't do. You talk dirty just like all the other kids talk dirty. And it's time to clean up your act. Come up here and get washed. Because we can't have phonies in the army of God. If that's you, put your hands up here. Whoa, baby. Wash your hands. Father, we just wash them with the water of your word. We say, no more, devil, no more. Say it, boys and girls, in the name of Jesus. You know exactly what you need to repent of. Name it. Name it out loud. Name it. What do you need to be forgiven of?
So a child can be molded into being violent, into being aggressive, into being doubtful, and ultimately into a weapon. However, children can also be molded into having good morals, into being confident and patient with the ones around them. I want to be able to mold my child. I want to mold them and to shape them onto a path of creativity, freedom, and success. However, very often, having freedom and the ability to make mistakes and learn from them and grow as a person is not the case. That is why I want to discuss the topic of child brainwashing and its effects on our young generation, and it all starts with the parents. Molding children is usually done in their younger years, and Dr. Paul, who's a family physician and a member of the Growing Well Foundation, actually stated that the worst question for parents to ask is how they should mold their child into reaching their full potential. And a child cannot really realize their full potential at such a young age, and by putting that much pressure on them, it can actually destroy and kill their creativity and their imagination. And that's when forceful parenting comes in. Forceful parenting takes place when a parent pretty much forces their child into adapting certain behavior or certain actions which the parent thinks is right, but it's not necessarily right for the child. This often takes place in religion, and the clip I just showed you is a clip from my, I assume, is my media connection, and it's called Jesus Camp. And it's about pretty much parents taking their children to Bible camp in order for them to strengthen their belief in God and in religion and be better people. They have good intentions for their children, but the way that they go about it and the camp goes about it is in a very negative and abusive way. As you just saw, the children were crying, and that's because the adults were telling them that they're always evil, Satan is always out to get them, corruptions of the world have corrupted them, and they're bad people. And if they do not wash away their sins, they will not be accepted by Jesus, they won't go to heaven. And they're just putting all these ideas and brainwashing them. And do children really have the mindset to fully understand religion at such a young age? A quote that was said by a 10-year-old boy that went to Jesus Camp said, "I just wanted to talk about my belief in God. I've had a hard time doing it, and it's just really hard to do this. Just to believe in God is really hard because you don't see Him, you don't really know Him much. Sometimes I don't even believe what the Bible says. It makes me feel guilty and bad." So once the camp counselors saw this and the adults saw this, they stepped up their brainwashing technique. They actually nominated him to be a child priest and give up preaching to the rest of the children at the camp. And they even talked about topics such as abortion and same-sex couples, topics that shouldn't really be discussed with children that are not even young enough to understand sexual reproduction. So another actual real-world example of this, and this is seen all over the world, is a religious group which is called the Jesus Movement. And it's a fundamentalist Christian movement which has started in the 1960s and has now developed to have about 10,000 members worldwide. And most of them are young adults, and half of them are actually children. And they go through great efforts in order to convert children to become strong Christians, because they want for them to continue the path of the path of religion throughout the next generations. However, again, the way they do this is in a very abusive way that really isolates the children. They're always on the road, traveling from city to city. They homeschool the children and tell them that we're doing this because we don't want you to be corrupted by the outside world, and we don't want you to be a sin, to sin and be a bad person. And they're actually giving them this unrealistic image of what the world is. Parents should instead help their children figure out their own spirituality and should help them deal with the stress of the real world instead of hiding and isolating them from it. My first novel of the ISU was The Year of Living Biblically, and this is about a man, his name was A.J. Jacobs, who took it upon himself to follow the Bible as literally as possible for an entire year. So with this, he had to follow the 10 Commandments. There was no gossip, there was no lying, there was no coveting, there was no jealousy, no nothing. And he even had to wear clothes without mixed fibers because that's what the Bible said. However, before his experiment, he stated, "I am as Jewish as the Olive Garden is Italian." So that just shows he is not whatsoever, he was not religious at all. In the year that he was very religious, he did this because, and he states, "And most important, I now have a son. If my lack of religion is a flaw, I don't want to pass it on to him." So he wanted to learn more about religion and why so many people practice it in order for him to explain to his son what the Bible is about, in case he does want to practice Christianity or any religion when he's older. So as you see, in the whole year of him being extremely religious, he did not come home to his son and his wife and say, "Hey, you have to be religious with me at the same time." So I think that kind of shows that what a healthy relationship should be like in a super religious family, because religion is kind of like the clothes you wear. You pick what you want to wear, you pick how you want to be seen by the other people, but you cannot pick someone else's fashion style. So brainwashing is often, like I said, just shown in religion, but it's also a huge issue that's largely discussed when a child is in a situation of divorce. Because a parent or a family member would actually manipulate the child into getting custody or into getting revenge at their ex. So this is actually a disorder, and it's called the parent alienation syndrome, which you're pretty much teaching your child to hate. The medical dictionary definition of this is intense negative indoctrination by a custodial parent that alienates the child or the children against their non-custodial parent. So this could be both conscious or unconscious, and in extreme cases, the child can actually refuse to interact with their non-custodial parent and would act out or express their feelings through their own words. However, the parent could be doing it because of anger or unresolved issues between their breakup, or just because they're insecure with their parenting skills and they want to tell their child, "I'm the better parent because you should be safer with me because," and putting all these fake ideas into the child's mind. Instead, parents should provide stark contrast to your child by being the polar opposite of your ex. Where there is hate, contempt, and a vortex of negative energy, you should instead offer your child an environment filled with love and with fun. So, I want to be able to mold my child, but how many other factors are out there molding them? And in fact, molding us? I know we're probably sitting here thinking, that's never going to happen to us. We're old enough to make our own decisions, to have our own ideas of what's right and what's wrong, and to make our own ideas of what we want to believe in. However, what we don't realize is that we are getting brainwashed. We're slowly getting brainwashed by all the advertisements, the commercials, the TV shows, and the movies that we see every day. The average person actually sees about 2,000 ads a day, and that has an incredible effect on our mind, and has brainwashed us and has changed our idea of looking at things. It's sad to see the no makeup, ponytail girls with overalls playing their treehouse and having deep discussions with their friends, which is something other than just a Facebook conversation or a text message. And it's sad to see less of the boys and young men discussing and laughing and competing and talking about their life's accomplishments at something other than just an Xbox game. And we're all being brainwashed. The media has been able to trick us and to mold us whichever way it wants. It has made the unusual things the new normal, and it's not allowed us to think for ourselves. According to the Encyclopedia of Education, the tobacco manufacturers actually spend $6 billion on advertising a year, while alcohol manufacturers spend about $2 billion a year on advertising that appeals to children and young adults. And that's because we are the new generation that will be using their products, and they want us to buy it. And the sad thing is that the media has glamorized tobacco, alcohol, drugs as being good and it would make you look cool. And that's why we have the idea that if we use those products, we would be cool as well. Talking more about us, how other people portray us, we also see a lot of skinny models and buff men on all our advertisements. And it's sad because they're all Photoshop. That gives the unrealistic image, which not even the models themselves can reach. However, a lot of people do try to still aim for that image. I myself know I will never look like a Victoria's Secret model, but in fact I think, boy, wouldn't that be nice? But in fact it wouldn't be nice, because it wouldn't be nice to have to watch everything I eat, to diet every day in order to maintain my body. However, many people, girls and guys, don't realize that if they realize that they can't reach that image, and they would go through great lengths, like even eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia. Men would take maybe steroids in order to improve their muscles, and just it could lead to depression or low self-confidence if they cannot reach that image. So it's sad. The University of Wisconsin has said that about 50% of American girls are unhappy with their body image, and that actually started, those thoughts actually started at the age of just 7. And the media can affect our physical image immensely, and I can go on and on about all the different ways that the media has been able to brainwash us. And even the technology we use. We're made to think that we're not cool if we don't have the latest smartphones or technology. But in fact, that's just the media brainwashing us. Anyways, I hope my TED Talk kind of opened your eyes and your minds to the dangers of brainwashing and its effects on our young generation. I hope that you'll be aware of your own child's freedom and their healthy development, and will do what's truly right and not just what the media says is right. That's because that's what I'm going to do.